During this video segment, I want to give you an overview of the rollover feature in Curriculum Track. First of all, the rollover feature does not really come into play unless your school is using the lesson planner. Because everything else in Curriculum Track, for instance, the curriculum maps and unit plan content, automatically just keeps moving on from year to year. And so whatever you see within your maps is always the live copy. Whereas with Lesson Planner, each year teachers will want to take those lessons that they have in their lessons database and attach those to the new school year calendar. To find out more about this support, it's in the Lesson Planner support documents. And if I scroll down to the bottom, there's the school year rollover for Lesson Planner schools. And so what I want to do now is give you the overview itself. It's basically a three-step process. And as it says here, step one, the new school year rollover is the process that will initiate the steps below. So in other words, before you can do step 2 and 3, step 1 has to be performed. And basically the year rollover, in other words, indicating to Curriculum Track and in more detail, the lesson planner, that the previous school year is done and now we want to get ready for the next school year. That's really what we're talking about with the rollover feature. And what we do is we do that for all of our schools that use Lesson Planner automatically on or around July 15 of each year. And we realize that's going to work for most of you, especially the schools in this United States. Just about all those schools have summer breaks, so it seems like the middle of the summer is a really good time to do that rollover. However, there are many international schools that have a break between their two school years at a different time. So you can define that date any date you want. However, if you choose to use a date other than July 15, you'll actually have to do the rollover itself, which I'll show you in a bit. It's very, very easy to do, so don't be alarmed by that. But if July 15 works good, I would leave it at that and just have us do that process for you. It's just one less thing for you to worry about. If you want to have a date other than July 15, as it says here, contact support@curriculumtrack.com. Let us know that you'd like to have a different rollover date. Indicate what that date will be each year, February 12 or whatever the date might be. And we'll put it in our system so that you get reminders with links to do that process. So let's take a look at what that looks like if you were going to do this manually on your own. Again, if you're okay with July 15, you can kind of just watch this next step, but you won't have to do it. So for this, we're going to go ahead and take a look at this school here called ABC Organization. And they are a school that indicated a date different than July 15. And in fact, if I go to Toolbox Utilities, I can see that it looks like they're indicating that they want the rollover to take place on June 1 of each year. And once we initiate that, they can change that on their own in the future. Again, if you have July 15, don't worry about this step. What will happen then is on June 1, and until they actually do the rollover, when they log in, so today I'm doing this video on June 16, so it's after June 1, I log into Curriculum Track and it has a reminder here saying, hey, you have to do this new school year rollover. And you can read this text here. Basically, it's saying what happens with this rollover. And if I click here, it actually, what that really did is it just went to Toolbox Utilities. Has some of the same information. It says if you want to use a different date, you can change it here. But ultimately, what we're doing is we're just taking the teachers and courses from the previous year and recreating those for the new school year, keeping those the same. You can still go in and adjust those and say, okay, now this teacher teaches this course. I do that after the rollover. So the rollover is going to take everything as is from the previous year, and that's probably going to be 90-95% accurate. Also what happens is for the lesson planner, it will take the dates attached to the lessons from the previous school year and clear those out. Before I do this, let me quick show that to you. If I go to the lessons database right now, and let's choose Algebra 1, notice that I have dates attached. So each of these lessons is attached to dates. Looks like December 1, 2, 3, and so forth. If I want to look at the weekly planner, I could do that. Let's go back to December and notice that sure enough, they are attached to dates. When I do the rollover, it's going to take those dates out because we want to get ready for the next school year. So again, when you come here as an admin, only your curriculum admin folks will see this. They can click on this, and let's go ahead and do that rollover right now. So now it says that 7 classes were rolled over. If I want to see a list of those, I could click here, and what that does is it downloads a file, an HTML file, where I can see those classes. Okay, so that all looks good, and which teachers are teaching those. Now notice if I go to the lessons database, there's a note here saying you need to attach these to new school year dates. We'll come back to that in a bit. But what I would like to show is if I look at the classes, notice there's no dates attached to them. And if I would go to the weekly planner, we would find that our weekly planner is now empty for the next school year. So going back to the support page, what we just did is step 1. If you are okay with doing this on July 15, you can ignore step 1 because we'll take care of it for you. So now let's move on to step number 2. After the rollover feature has been completed, and we're going to have individual videos for these that you can look at, but I'm just trying to give you a big overview right now. After this has been completed, you'll need to define your no school days. And so let's go back to Curriculum Track. And so if I log in now after the year rollover has taken place, you will want to define no school days. They're found under Toolbox Setup. And right here we have our lesson plan days of the week. That's where you can define what days of the week your school meets if you use different days other than traditional Monday through Friday. But right here, the lesson plan no school days. Currently there are none. And basically what this allows you to do is define days in which your school is going to have vacation. So that when teachers do the rollover and say, I want to take all those lessons from the previous year in the same order and move them to the next school year, it will automatically skip over the non-school days. Plus, it will show no school day on the calendar itself if teachers are going to do it more of a manual fashion. So to add no school days, I can come in here and I can put in an individual date. So let's say that we're going to have off on September 7. And if it's just a single day, you can leave this N blank. However, if it's a range, for instance, like if you want to put in Christmas break, and so let's say our Christmas break is going to be from the 21st until, let's go January 1st. We're going to take those days off. So I can go ahead and click Add, and notice it creates all those as no school days. What that will do now is when I go to the lesson planner and look at the weekly planner, and so let's go ahead and move ahead to September so I can see that non-school day that I entered. Let's see, I think I put it the following week on the 7th. So notice it says no school by this particular date. Likewise, if I move way ahead to Christmas break, let's go over to here. Notice it shows no school in there as well. So that is the defining of the no school days. So now if we go back to our steps here, that's something that you as an admin should do after the rollover takes place, but before teachers go in and actually set up their lessons for their new calendar. So we're going to look at that next, what teachers can do. So let's go back to our ABC school. And as a teacher, if I go to the lessons database, notice it says that as part of it, it's going to clear out the dates. And what we can do is we can attach lessons to new dates by going to Lessons, Class Section Setup, and use the Rollover feature. So again, if I look here, notice there's no dates. As a teacher, they can either click on this link, which is a handy little reminder for them, and they'll only see this reminder until they do this process. Once they do it, it'll clear out and they won't have to see this again. or they can go to Lessons Class Section Setup. And so notice that in Algebra 1, there's this rollover from last year. So what I can do is I can take these, all our lessons for that particular class, and move it from this section to, it'll recognize, unless you change the name of the sections, to my class section here. And I can define my first date. And remember, it'll keep the lessons in the same order as what they were the previous year. If a lesson was taught and it took 2 days last year, it will show up on our calendar as 2 days this year. It automates that process for you. So let's say that our first day of school here is going to be on September 1. And let's continue. It shows the dates from last year. And when I want those to appear this year, notice it has 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it takes a break for 5 and 6 because that's Saturday and Sunday. And 7th, remember we made that a no school day. So it skips over those and then goes to the next available regular school day. So I'll go ahead and click Submit. So now, if I go to the Lessons database and I choose Algebra 1, notice that it has those dates defined. Again, let's go to the other class section that I had. So let's go back to class sections. Let's do the same thing here. I'll choose the very same first day of the school year for this one. It shows how it's going to transfer over. Click Submit, and that's done. Notice there weren't any of those rollover links for these other courses or class sections. That's because I didn't have any data. I didn't have any of these lessons attached to days from the previous year. So now, if I go to my weekly planner and I start looking ahead to the beginning of this school year, so let's go to here. Notice that it has my lessons in here. And if I go to the next week, notice it's skipped over Saturday and Sunday, and then also this non-school day. And remember, once you have these moved in here, you still can move these things back. So if I want to take these lessons and say, I want to take all my lessons from the, let's see, I got to move ahead here a bit here, from the 8th to the end of the school year. So I'll leave that blank. And I want to move it to the right or later 2 days. So I'll move those lessons and notice it moved those. So you can very easily move these lessons. If I change my mind and say I meant to only do 1 day, I can very easily take these again and say I want to move everything back to the left 1 day and so forth. So let's take one more look at the various steps that take place. First of all, the year rollover. We'll do that on the 15th for you automatically. If you want a different date, you need to indicate that date to us so that we can set up reminders for you, and then you'd actually have to click on the button to do that rollover. However, support can certainly help you out through that. Second step is, after that, as soon after that as possible, we recommend that you set up your no school days. You really would like to have those set up before the teachers do their rollover so that they don't automatically put lessons on days that were intended as no school days. And then the third step would be for them to do the rollover of all their lessons from last year to this year. Teachers don't have to do that. If they want to just do it the way they've done it in the past, that's fine. But we created this tool to try and automate the process for your teachers, and hopefully they will enjoy it. What we do recommend, though, is watching these other videos. This was just a fairly lengthy video to give you a full overview of what takes place with the lesson planner rollover. Thank you.